Hello friends and welcome back to the garden. I hope you're doing really well. Today it's another early morning and still trying to beat the heat. We've had this very hot and dry week, and so as it goes up to like 32 degrees, so I think 90, 86 Fahrenheit, something like that, I've been trying to be outside as early as possible. And raise your hand real high if it takes you, I don't know, 25 to 30 minutes to do anything done in the morning in the garden, because everything is so beautiful. It's still bright and early here. It's 7:20 or 7:30, something like that, and there's still morning dew. The sun is just coming out from the other side of the house. East is that way, and so everything is in between, you know, dawn and sun. It's so beautiful. There's dew on everything and just plants look so lush and so green. Today's project is, well, actually today's projects are, because we have loads of little maintenance to do. There's some spring crops that needs to get out, mainly peas. I have to weed the corn patch. I have to put netting on top of my blueberries because they're starting to ripen and I don't want to feed the birds with those. And I think that's pretty much it, but I'm sure we'll find other things to do while we're here. So right here I'm standing near some peas. Those are English shelling peas and they are done, completely done. They're starting to be riddled with disease, and I'm not gonna show you that close up, or maybe I should. And they're starting to have, well, I'll show you. Where is a good example of that? They're starting to have those brown spots. I don't know if you can tell with the light. Brown spotting on there. And it means that the fungal disease, which I don't really know what that is crippling them away, is winning. So those gotta go, and we are going to plant, I don't really know what, instead. So let's get to it. Those ones look good. I'm probably in the way of the sun. Those ones look good. And even though it's not the best lighting, this is the best time to do it, because peas are veg that you want to have a concentrate of water in them. You really want them to be crisp and crunchy and full of water. So you really want to harvest them in the summer or late spring when the sun hasn't hit them yet. And those are starting to have some sun on them. Thanks to the sunflower, they're a little bit protected, but yeah, I really need to harvest those. And as we're talking about peas, if you have a small space, if you're limited in space, maybe I would not advise you to plant peas, or be prepared that what you plant will likely not be enough to eat for a whole year, because peas don't produce as much as you think they would. It takes a lot of plants to actually have a huge bowl of peas, because even though, I mean, this is not a huge bowl. It's gonna be overflowing. I took a bowl that was too small. That's my fault. But I didn't really realize how much was on those plants. But this bowl, once you shell the peas, I don't know, there's a fourth of that in terms of actual veggie that you can eat. And so if you have a big family or if you adore peas, you will need to be planting tons of them. So I think I've officially took everything I could from those plants. So it's not that much food. Like the amounts that we have might be 2 servings, so just right about a meal for us. And there are 9 plants in here, so it's not the best giving plant, but it's one of the tastiest because fresh peas from the garden are just a treat. So I'm going to bring those back to the house, pour myself a second coffee, and then I'll talk about what we do with those sick and diseased plants. So maybe as you can tell, those are completely riddled with some kind of disease. Powdery mildew maybe, another fungal disease that I don't know about. And frankly, they're done. So what do you do with done plants? I'm from the team that you leave the roots in the ground as much as possible. And that's for plenty of reasons. First one, it's less work. You just snip it at the base and at the stalk or at the stem of the plant, and then it's done. You don't have to take out and do any hard labor like this. It's just one shear and then that's it. And then you use it to snip the plants. Also because it leaves the root system in the ground, and so as this decomposes, you have more biolife, you have more energy to feed those little microorganisms. Everyone's happy down there, basically. And also it is a way to not disturb the soil, because when you're pulling something, you are actually, disturbing the first layers of your soil, and that's usually the layers where you have the more nutritional value available for the plants. But if you want to dig up plants, that's the thing. But the ones that you shouldn't be digging up, the ones that you actually should be leaving the roots in, are the fabaceous. Every plant in the fabaceous family have little nodules that actually are nitrogen fixer. So peas, fava beans, lima beans, green beans, all of those guys, those are nitrogen fixers. So you actually really want them to stay in the ground and just snip at the roots and let those beautiful nodules, or, well, they're little white things, so I don't know if they're beautiful, but those nodules, let them do their work and actually be eaten up by the life of your soil and release all of that good nitrogen in your soil. And so what it looks like, just leaving the camera adapt, is that you have a stem right there, and I'm just gonna cut it off. And so you see, I'm leaving the stem and all of the roots and the nodules, and this is the aerial part that I'll take out. And I'm gonna get the twine or the garden, I don't know what you call this in English. I don't know what that is actually. And I'm sure in French I'm using the wrong word. I'm using the word raffia, but I don't think that's what it's called in every part of the country. Anyway, so I'm gonna take that out and I'm gonna give those sick plants, which are probably full of bugs, to the girls. And by girls, I mean the chicken. and I have a tiny bit more peas, and my neighbor is still using his chainsaw, so that, you know, you gotta do what you gotta do sometimes. So I ended up with a little bit more peas because as I was pulling them out, I mean not pulling, snipping them out, I found more peas in the middle, because when you're dealing with green on green, especially that early in the morning, you can miss a few. Now, let's see if I can carry all of that, the bowl, the camera, and go to the chicken so that you can meet the girls. It's actually a decent bowl. Second stop, the chickens. Hello, ladies. Hello. So that's Rose. We have Iris over there, and Margaret might be laying inside the coop. We'll see if I back out. Oh yeah, she's going for it. They don't seem to be interested. Come on, how can you not be enamored by a farm early in the morning? Okay, I have to go back to work. Look at this. Oh, and this willow is just... So now let's go to the corn patch, because it really needs to be weeded, and I'm also going to show you what variety I grow and how I grow them, and tell you a little bit more about how to grow corn in a small space. So as you can probably tell, you have taller corn in the two back rows and smaller corn here. Those have been sown 2 weeks apart, and that's on purpose because I want them to tassel not at the same time. I'm hopeful that 2 weeks is enough so that they don't cross-pollinate, because corn can cross-pollinate so easily, and especially planted that close together, because it's probably what, 30 centimeters in between each row. Don't ask me how many feet that is, I don't know. So yeah, I have 2 weeks window in between each variety tasseling, and so we have 2 rows of sweet corn, and this is the Bantam sweet corn, and then the popcorn, I don't remember the name of this one. Some stalks are planted very close together, which I don't know if I should thin them out. I might. You can see here they're planted a little close. I think that's what you should aim for, but that's only my second year growing corn, and it's actually my first year growing that many, because last year I just had a tiny patch which didn't do too well, and we were on vacation when the corn actually were ready and the bird ate all of our sweet corn. And so it's actually my first year growing popcorn, and I'm very excited about it. I hope it works, because popcorn is a treat. So I'm going to weed, and as you can see, where is it? I mean, I don't have very far to go to find some. There is tons of morning glory. So if you don't have this in your garden, bless you, because this is terrible. And the thing with morning glory is that you will lose. You will lose. This will come back. You know, unless you spray with poison, and I'm not even sure it works, this will come back. But the idea here is how you want to lose. Do you want to lose overwhelm and with the garden just pulled back to soil level, because actually morning glory is a vine and usually it takes stuff and, you know, pulls them back down? Or do you want to have a few morning glory plants and try to stay on top of it? Being on top of it, eliminating it from your garden is not possible, but the more you pick it, the more you try to pull those and as many roots as you can, the less rampant and lively it's going to be. You really want to do that. I did it in those rows because those were here last year, and I'm having some coming back this year obviously, but not as many as I have in the asparagus patch over there, where I was just completely overrun, completely overwhelmed. I let the morning glory go, I let the morning glory flower, set seeds, and this year I am laughing so that I don't cry, but this year is just terrible, and I am being on top of it. I made a promise to myself, I can't let that happen 2 years in a row, but it's hard. It's hard work. I am there every week, and every week it's as if I haven't done anything. So yeah, if you have morning glory, try to stay on top of it. And I know it's not the only obnoxious weed out there. I know there's quaggrass, Bermuda grass. I know there's plenty of weeds that kind of work the same way, with very long rhizomes under the soil and just pop everywhere, very vicious and avid to take control of your space. I know that. So morning glory is mine. You probably have one as well. And if you don't, count your blessings. Count your blessings. And you know, if you need the motivation to get out there and, ooh, this is actually really soft. Get out there and weed those obnoxious grass, just know you're not alone. We all deal with those. So now that all the weeding is done, I'm going to plant the rest of this Three Sisters garden. If you're not familiar with it, it's a Native American growing practice where you grow corn associated with a cucurbit and a fabaceous, usually pole bean or climbing bean, and a rampant squash, summer or winter squash. And so that helps the corn to grow at its best potential, because you have something shading the soil. So you have your rampant squash, your melon, your watermelon, whatever you want to put, that is getting the soil or keeping the soil colder with more humidity, a little damper, and that really helps the corn to grow because it really likes water. And then you have your pole bean that is using the corn stalk as a trellis, but also fixing nitrogen in the soil, both for the corn, which is a heavy feeder, but also for the cucurbits. So they really grow together very well. I've never grown a Three Sisters garden. I tried in my community garden back in 2019, kind of failed, but it was my bad and my fault because I planted the beans and the cucurbits at the same time as the corn. And corn takes a longer time to germinate, and it also, you know, it takes a fairly long amount of time unless you get hot pretty fast. But where I garden, we get hot, you know, usually early June, and this year we really got hot just end of June. It has been the only first week with really warm weather, so corn takes time to get ready and get going. So you don't want to plant your beans and your squash at the same time as your corn, because you are going to suffocate those poor little corn. So that's, I think, right about time where I can plant that. I might thin the corn as well, depending on how I feel it being too close together. And I'm going to show you the variety I'm using. So for my squash, I'm using this Courge Pomme d'Or, which is a winter squash, but it's a smaller variety. It's kind of like the personal size variety I was talking about in the garlic video, but I don't think I've shown the packet to you. And this is a 80 day, I think, or 78 day to maturity pumpkin, so it's a lot quicker than other variety that sometimes ask for like 95 to 100 day. And then if I don't have enough seeds, I might throw in a few buttercups. Those ones are a little longer to come to fruition, but are still fairly short. And then for beans, I'm using this, which is a seed a friend saved for me years ago. And look how beautiful those seeds are. And that's where she did a internship at the farm, and so she saved some seeds, and I still have some. I grew some last year, and I adore that. I adore like how seeds can be saved and gifted and exchanged. So this is coming from a small organic farm, quite long away from me, or far away from me, which I know in France far away is like 5 hours, and all of you in Canada or the States, you're like 5-hour drive, that's next door. Yeah, but we don't think like that in Europe. Like 5-hour drive is pretty far for us. And so yeah, she gifted those seeds to me, and I'm very, very happy to still have them, and I'm going to plant them in my garden and hopefully save more so that I still have this variety. So Julie, si tu passes par là, merci beaucoup. And so that's what it looks like, all watered in, thinned and weeded. And that's gonna be actually the last chore I'm going to do this morning, or the last job in the garden, because it's already almost 10 o'clock. I did not anticipate that filming it and explaining everything would take me that long. So it's almost been 2.5 hours I'm here. The sun is bright and out, and I'm dying in the sun. It's so warm already. So the only thing I have left to do, which is not a job, not a chore, is to pick a fresh flower bouquet. And I'm going to show you what I take, and then it's going to be it for today. So what I'm going to use is this grandiflora rose, which is beautiful. And don't worry, the bees have plenty of things to pollinate. And actually roses are not that great for pollination, especially not grandiflora ones, because you see they stay firmly close together. The petals stay firmly close together, and English roses or heirloom roses are actually a little better for bees. And then I'm gonna take some yarrow as well. And that's gonna be it for today's video. I hope you enjoy spending time with me. Subscribe and comment if you did, and I hope your season is starting well. This is really the time before everything booms and explodes, and I can't wait to show you what it looks like in my garden. You will see me in the next one. Bye!